Hello, my name is Valerie McIntyre, and this is a research proposal presentation on international collaboration in American public libraries. Here is a brief overview of what I'm going to be discussing today. As you can see, I'm going to be hitting the major parts of my research proposal, and then I will summarize it all for you at the end. So to start, the introduction. Globalization has influenced every sphere of human interaction. The influx of digital technology has revolutionized education, communication, and collaboration. International partnerships have not only become more feasible, but also more necessary. Diverse viewpoints offer the best solutions to projects and a wider resource pool for information professionals to get information from. Here's the background. Academic and research institutions have a long history of international collaboration. Colleges and research organizations have already seen the benefit in sharing their findings and sharing their research and working with other experts in the field so that they have a fuller, deeper approach to the research that they are conducting. And it is evident that international collaboration has become important in our academics and in our scholarly pursuits, in that 1 in 5 scientific papers published today are internationally co-authored. However, international collaboration in public libraries is not prevalent enough to merit a place in the literature because it is still an underutilized resource. Why is that? Public libraries in the United States have always held the responsibility of supporting lifelong learning for their patrons. The diverse communities allow for consistent updating of library programs and services, and the various resources available in public libraries, including the patron group, offer a unique opportunity to establish thought-provoking international partnerships. So the research problem. There aren't enough models for international collaboration in public libraries. The literature needs to be updated to provide better resources for libraries looking to establish international partnerships. And this is the case for the Joseph Greenlee Public Library, which is my library. We are hoping to establish a long-term relationship with a organization in a different country. However, we need more data before pursuing an international partnership. So our research questions are: how do public libraries in the United States collaborate with information organizations in other countries? And then the sub-questions are: how is international partnerships established? Is international collaboration happening at a singular project level, or is it ongoing? How current are the cases of international collaboration in libraries? And what factors have prevented or fostered the continuation of international collaboration? In the literature review, I divided it up into 2 sections. The first section talks about tips and advantages to library international collaboration. So while there is a gap in the literature concerning public library international collaboration, there are a lot of articles that talk about academic libraries and research libraries participating in international collaboration. The first article, written in 2013, focuses on an international collaboration project between a Southeast Asian library and Northern Illinois University Library. And this project was to digitalize the resources in the Southeast Asian Library. In this article, there are several tips for libraries participating in international collaboration that can be applied to the public library setting. The first tip is to establish effective communication right from the beginning of the project. If the project is, slow going, if communication is stalled or there are difficulties between the two organizations, then it will be hard to motivate the staff to continue forward with the project or to be excited about the project if they're concerning themselves with just trying to talk with the other organization. So the second tip that article offers is to establish realistic goals. While the idea might be to establish a long-term relationship with another library, you need to make sure that you're setting the goals for this year rather than 5 years down the road. You don't want to be thinking ahead too far. You want to be establishing smaller goals that are achievable and that will show the staff and your patron community that the efforts being made to maintain this international relationship are successful. So now on to the second article, which is titled National and International Library Collaboration Necessity Advantages. This article focuses on research libraries rather than public libraries. However, like the article before, it offers advantages to library associations in the establishment of international collaboration. So while this isn't directly applicable to the public library, there, in a way, it can be applied to the public library model. Library associations offer many advantages to international collaboration. Library associations are advocates for libraries on the international global level as well as the local level, and so they have the ability to share or disperse a shared goal or mission for that association. They also are a way to establish a directory or a collaboration list of libraries who have the same international collaboration in mind, who are intending to establish more long-term relationships. And so having a library association with a directory of libraries could be really beneficial when you're trying to establish international relationships. So the next part of the literature review is about joining an international sister library initiative, and I'm going to be discussing two sister library initiatives today. The International Federation of Library Associations and Institutions, or the IFLA, has a sister library program that is for children and young adult librarians. So this particular sister library initiative is meant to create opportunities for the librarians themselves to share, to learn, to cooperate, and to interact with one another. And this just allows children and young adult librarians all over the world to share cultural values, to express ways to approach a problem or an issue in the library that concerns children or young adult librarianship. So that is the first sister library program. The second is the American Library Association, or the ALA Sister Library Initiative. And that initiative is about creating long-term relationships with international organizations. The article that I looked at by Lee and Bolt actually focused on the longevity of international collaborations, like how long are these international collaborations happening. It also focused on the role of the library administrator, and this was actually a really important article because this showed me, at least in this research proposal, that the role of the library administrator is essential. They are the communicator between the two organizations. They are establishing the initial goals of the relationship, and they will be the ones that are the point of contact during these international partnerships. So, moving on. The methodology. So the study population is public libraries in the United States, and specifically we're going to be pulling from the directories of the ALA Sister Library Initiative and the IFLA Sister Libraries list. These libraries are already, they have already established their international collaboration, and whether or not they had a negative or positive experience is definitely going to influence, what we do at the Joseph Greenlee Public Library. So my data collection methods are mixed methods. I'm going to have an initial survey that I'm going to send out to people on the directories. And then I am going to use the responses from those surveys to consider which libraries to interview for the next phase of the data collection. For data analysis, as the principal researcher, I will collect the responses from the survey. The survey has 4 questions on it that are more about the quantitative data of the international collaboration. I want to know when it started, what in particular started the international collaboration, and I'm going to synthesize the responses from the survey into a report that determines which libraries to contact for the next phase, which is the interview phase. The interview questions are more about qualitative data. There's 10 questions, and they are broken up into 3 categories, broader categories of how the international collaboration was started, why it was started, what was the mission of it, and also what obstacles have arisen at the during the international collaboration that we need to consider when we're establishing our international relationship. And establishing a relationship at the Joseph Greenlee Public Library will be greatly influenced by these interview questions, because the qualitative data will help us to decide what project we want to create, what collaboration we want to pursue, and what approach we will have when we are considering how to begin international collaboration. So there are 2 ethical considerations in this research. The first is the privacy or anonymity of the participants. There may be instances where there was a negative experience with international collaboration in a library, and we want to make them feel safe enough to talk to us about what experience they had so that we can avoid that in the future. And then the second ethical concern is remaining unbiased towards viewpoints of different cultural backgrounds. We're going to be talking to libraries in different countries, and so we need to be sure that we are being respectful and clarifying their responses in a way that doesn't distort what they are trying to say. So there are also 2 limitations to our research. This research was focused on the sister library pathway to international collaboration, and there are several different ways to establish international collaboration. The sister library program seems like the most common way in the United States, but there are other ways, and so this research is limited in that regard. The second limitation is the time constraints, because of the different time zones may limit the responses we receive. We can't force anyone to help us in this research process. We need to have cooperation from all of our participants, but sometimes it just can't happen. And the time constraints in this situation may be a major issue that will greatly affect the responses that we receive. So in summary, international collaboration in public libraries is underrepresented in academic literature. There are limited materials for public libraries to draw from to establish international collaboration. The Joseph Greenlee Public Library intends to establish a long-term international partnership, and data will be collected from public libraries in the United States who have had international relationships. This data will be collected through surveys and interviews, and the study will aim to answer how libraries are collaborating with information organizations in other countries today. So that's the end. Thank you very much for listening to my research proposal, and I am excited about continuing forward in this research process. Thank you.